Welcome back. Tonight, we're drifting slowly into the complete story of the Mimic, the shadowy AI force that weaves through 5 nights at Freddy's hidden origins. A creation born from one man's quiet grief to preserve echoes of those he lost forever. Engineered in the forgotten depths of Murray's costume Manor, it was meant to mimic the warmth of family, replicating voices and gestures to bridge the void left by tragedy. But instead, it absorbed rage and corruption, turning a tool of solace into a relentless entity that learned to hunt, hide, and spread its influence like a whisper through the wires, reshaping animatronics and locations in ways that linger in the franchise's darkest corners. From the early ventures where puppets and prototypes first stirred to life, to the personal losses that twisted invention into nightmare, to the corporate shadows that stole and scattered its designs across pizzerias and underground layers, we'll trace every subtle turn of this mechanical saga step by step. This is the story of how a breakthrough in mimicry became a cycle of protection and violence, and how one engineer's sorrow ignited a legacy that still echoes in the ruins of Fazbear's empire. Whether you're uncovering these details for the first time, letting familiar echoes pull you deeper into rest, or simply allowing the tale to wash over you like a gentle fog as sleep takes hold, this will carry you through the full, unbroken history of the Mimic. Before we begin, feel free to like and subscribe, but only if you enjoy this kind of slow, immersive storytelling that unfolds like a dream. And let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is for you. It's always a quiet wonder to see the same story weaving through different corners of the world, one hushed night at a time. Let's begin. In the early days of what would become a pivotal chapter in animatronic history, Edwin Murray founded Murray's Costume Manor, often abbreviated as MCM, as a modest contracting firm specializing in mechanical designs and prototypes for entertainment venues. This enterprise began with small-scale projects where Edwin applied his engineering skills to create functional puppets and basic animatronics for various clients seeking innovative attractions. The work demanded precision, blending metal frameworks with expressive movements to bring inanimate forms to life, a process that required careful calibration of gears and servos to mimic natural gestures. As MCM grew, Edwin's reputation for reliable craftsmanship spread, drawing interest from larger companies eager to expand their offerings in family-oriented entertainment. This foundation allowed him to experiment with early endoskeletons, simple skeletal structures that supported outer costumes, setting the groundwork for more complex systems. The cause of this steady expansion stemmed from Edwin's dedication to quality, which in turn fostered partnerships that elevated MCM from a local operation to a key player in the industry. Though challenges loomed as ambitions scaled upward, it was during these formative years that Edwin encountered Fiona, a talented artisan known for her intricate puppet designs, whose work captured emotions through subtle string manipulations and hand-carved features. Their meeting occurred amid a collaborative project, where Fiona's creative input complemented Edwin's technical expertise, leading to prototypes that seamlessly integrated artistry with mechanics. Fiona's puppets, often featuring whimsical characters with fabric skins and jointed limbs, inspired Edwin to refine his animatronic blueprints, incorporating softer materials for more lifelike interactions. This partnership blossomed into marriage, transforming MCM into a family-run venture where Fiona contributed directly to design phases, sketching concepts that Edwin then engineered into working models. The effect of their union was a surge in innovation, as Fiona's intuitive understanding of character expression caused Edwin to prioritize emotional resonance in his creations, resulting in animatronics that engaged audiences on a deeper level. This synergy attracted attention from established entities like Fazbear Entertainment, a company already operating venues such as Fredbear's Family Diner, signaling the dawn of larger contracts that would test the limits of their capabilities. As MCM's portfolio expanded, the couple's combined efforts yielded early successes, including custom animatronic sets for minor attractions that demonstrated reliable performance under daily use. Edwin handled the structural integrity, ensuring endoskeletons could withstand repeated cycles without failure, while Fiona focused on aesthetic details like facial molds and color palettes that evoked warmth and familiarity. These projects served as proofs of concept, proving MCM's ability to deliver on time and within budget, which in consequence opened doors to more ambitious commissions. The ripple effect extended to Fazbear Entertainment's interest, drawn by reports of MCM's efficient prototypes that promised scalability for theme restaurants. This growth phase also introduced strains as Edwin balanced administrative duties with hands-on invention, a dynamic that would later intensify with personal life demands. These early ventures established MCM as a contractor capable of bridging creativity and engineering, laying essential tracks for the intricate lore that followed, where personal loss would intersect with professional pursuits in unforeseen ways. Building on the momentum from smaller contracts, Fazbear Entertainment approached MCM with a proposal for Chica's Party World, a dedicated restaurant centered around Chica-themed animatronics, designed to entertain families with interactive shows and games. This commission arrived in the mid-1970s, a time when Fazbear sought to diversify beyond their existing venues, like Fredbear's Family Diner, aiming to capitalize on the growing demand for themed dining experiences. Edwin Murray took charge of the engineering side, constructing endoskeletons that allowed for fluid movement, such as wing flaps and beak articulations, ensuring the animatronics could perform reliably during extended hours. Fiona's involvement proved crucial here, as she led the aesthetic development, crafting Chica's distinctive yellow plumage and cheerful expressions from durable fabrics and molds that evoked a sense of playful whimsy. The cause of this project's swift approval stemmed from Fazbear's recognition of MCM's prior prototypes, which in effect propelled the venue's launch and initial popularity, drawing crowds eager for the novelty of animatronic-hosted parties. As operations began, the restaurant featured multiple Chica variants, engaging guests in songs and skits, fostering an atmosphere of light-hearted fun that aligned with Fazbear's brand. This success also highlighted the collaborative dynamic between Edwin and Fiona, where her artistic vision caused the animatronics to resonate emotionally with children, leading to repeat visits and positive word of mouth that temporarily elevated MCM's standing in the industry. The rollout of Chica's Party World unfolded in stages, starting with site preparations where MCM delivered fully assembled animatronics equipped with basic AI routines for scripted interactions, such as greeting patrons or simulating pizza-making antics. Located in a family-friendly setting, the venue incorporated colorful decor matching Chica's theme, including balloon arches and stage setups that Edwin personally oversaw for structural safety. Fiona's designs extended to accessory elements like party hats and props, ensuring cohesion across the experience. This attention to detail resulted from Fazbear's detailed briefs, which specified performance metrics like animation cycles per hour, causing MCM to iterate on prototypes until they met standards without overheating or malfunctioning. The effect was a seamless opening that boosted Fazbear's revenue streams as families flocked to the interactive zones where Chica animatronics distributed treats and led group activities. Records from the era note the venue's peak attendance in its first years, with promotional materials highlighting Fiona's contributions to Chica's endearing personality traits. such as her melodic voice lines. Underlying pressures emerged as maintenance demands grew, requiring Edwin to dispatch repair kits periodically, a consequence of the animatronic's constant use that foreshadowed future logistical challenges for MCM. Despite the initial surge, Chica's party world experienced a gradual decline, influenced by factors ambiguous in canon, like shifting public tastes or potential operational hiccups that remain partially obscured in surviving logs. Attendance waned after a few seasons, possibly due to competition from emerging attractions or internal issues, like minor malfunctions in the Chica units that disrupted shows. Fazbear Entertainment adjusted marketing efforts, but the venue's trajectory shifted downward, leading to reduced contracts for MCM and related upkeep. This downturn stemmed from the project's over-reliance on novelty, which caused audience fatigue over time, resulting in fewer expansions and eventual closure considerations. Fiona's role in the designs lingered as a highlight, with her creative input on Chica's character ensuring the animatronic's lasting presence in Fazbear's lineup, even as the specific location faded. For Edwin, this marked a bittersweet milestone as the collaboration strengthened ties with Fazbear, but exposed vulnerabilities in scaling productions, a pivot that would soon intersect with personal tragedies and deeper entanglements in the animatronic world. The broader consequence integrated Chica into Fazbear's core roster, influencing subsequent projects while prompting MCM to seek more stable ventures, a shift that would lead into the development of safer spring-lock technology and the eventual heartbreak that would reshape Edwin's entire trajectory. As Fazbear Entertainment pursued expansions beyond their initial venues, they enlisted MCM to refine spring-lock suits, hybrid costumes that doubled as animatronics and wearable outfits for performers, addressing known hazards in earlier models. Edwin Murray, drawing from his engineering background, focused on mechanisms that locked springs securely, preventing failures triggered by moisture like sweat or spills. These innovations involved reinforced seals and adjusted tension systems, allowing the suits to transition smoothly between robot mode, where internal motors drove movements, and suit mode, where humans could step inside without risk of compression. The project unfolded in 1995's underground research and development area, a secure space equipped with testing chambers to simulate performance conditions. Edwin's drive for safety arose from reports of accidents in Fazbear's original designs, which had led to injuries from sudden spring releases, prompting him to prioritize durable materials that withstood environmental stresses. This approach not only enhanced reliability, but also extended the suit's operational lifespan, a direct effect that promised fewer interruptions during shows. Prototypes emerged with aesthetic tweaks, such as bulkier exteriors to accommodate the safety features, yet they maintained the whimsical bear and bunny motifs central to Fazbear's branding. For performers, this meant greater confidence in handling routines, as the suits resisted common pitfalls that had plagued prior iterations. The spring-lock suits appeared prominently in 1996's subterranean facilities, where Edwin housed them alongside other prototypes, including early animatronic frames that echoed future Fazbear locations. These suits demonstrated resilience, functioning effectively even after deliberate exposure to water in controlled tests, a stark improvement over Fazbear's versions that malfunctioned under similar conditions. Records from the era detail how Edwin's team iterated on the crank mechanisms, tools used to wind the springs, ensuring they locked firmly without overstraining the components. This meticulous process stemmed from contractual obligations, where Fazbear provided initial approvals on blueprints and proofs, fueling MCM's investment in specialized tooling. The consequence was a batch of operational suits stored in R&D, ready for deployment, but ultimately left idle when support waned. Edwin's logs expressed frustration at the last-minute changes, noting how the suit's safety profiles could have prevented the tragedies associated with Fazbear's originals, such as the fatal incidents involving compression failures. These innovations allowed seamless integration with other MCM projects like the Chica designs, hinting at a broader ecosystem of interconnected attractions. Fazbear Entertainment initially embraced the concepts, greenlighting art and early builds that incorporated Edwin's safer locks, but abruptly pulled back, citing shifts in priorities that left MCM with incomplete prototypes gathering dust. This decision followed approvals that had encouraged substantial resource allocation at MCM, including dedicated assembly lines for the suit's internal wiring and padding. The retreat's cause remains ambiguous in canon, tied to internal Fazbear deliberations, possibly influenced by cost assessments or emerging issues elsewhere, resulting in Edwin's pointed reflections on lost momentum. Unlike the perilous originals which claimed lives, including that of William Afton in later years, Edwin's versions emphasized performer protection through fail-safes that deactivated under duress. Surviving examples in the underground labs retained functionality, as seen in later explorations where they operated despite neglect and environmental damage. This episode underscores Edwin's ingenuity clashing with corporate volatility, a pattern that eroded MCM's stability and foreshadowed deeper entanglements. The unfinished suits, with their resilient designs, lingered as relics of what could have been a safer era in animatronic entertainment, their retreat amplifying the personal and professional toll on Edwin amid mounting pressures. Amid the collaborative highs of projects like Chica's Party World, tragedy struck during Fall Fest, an autumn-themed event with ambiguous ties to Fazbear Entertainment, or similar seasonal attractions where families gathered for games, performances, and animatronic displays. Fiona, Edwin Murray's wife and creative partner at MCM, attended this gathering, perhaps contributing her puppetry skills to the festivities that featured harvest motifs and lively shows. The event unfolded in an outdoor setting with booths and stages, but a fire erupted, spreading rapidly through decorations and structures, engulfing parts of the venue in flames. Hints from later digital recreations, such as the charred and burnt statue representing Fiona in Moon.exe, a program embedded within Secret of the Mimic, point to the blaze as the direct cause of her demise, with visual cues like scorched features emphasizing the intensity of the incident. This catastrophe arose from unspecified origins, ambiguous in canon like equipment issues or environmental factors amid the crowded setting, leading to chaos as attendees fled. For Edwin, the loss severed a vital thread in his life, as Fiona's absence left him to manage both the demands of MCM and the care of their young son, David, a boy who had thrived under her nurturing presence. The aftermath rippled through Edwin's world, where the fire's destruction not only claimed Fiona, but also exposed vulnerabilities in event safety protocols that Fazbear and contractors like MCM might have overlooked. Surviving records, sparse as they are, suggest the incident occurred in the 1970s, aligning with MCM's peak involvement in Fazbear projects, a period when Edwin's schedule already strained family time. Grief manifested in Edwin's withdrawal as he buried himself deeper in work, tinkering with endoskeletons and prototypes in the underground R&D labs to distract from the void. This emotional toll stemmed from their close partnership, where Fiona's designs had infused life into mechanical forms, causing Edwin to question his ability to continue alone while raising David. The effect deepened his isolation, with daily routines at home becoming mechanical echoes of what once was a vibrant household, prompting subtle shifts in MCM's operations as employees noted his distracted state. Questions linger on the fire's exact trigger, whether equipment failure or external factors, but its consistency in lore ties to the charred imagery in Moon.exe, underscoring a turning point that blurred professional boundaries with personal sorrow. In the quiet spaces left by Fiona's passing, Edwin confronted the fragility of his creations, machines that mimicked life yet could not replace it, a realization that planted seeds for future innovations born from despair. Fallfest's shadow extended to David, who lost his mother's guiding hand during formative years, altering family dynamics as Edwin juggled parenthood with looming deadlines for Fazbear commissions like the Springlock suits. This loss catalyzed a profound change in Edwin's approach, pushing him toward AI developments that sought to preserve essences beyond physical forms, though at the cost of his emotional reserves. The broader consequence wove into FNAF's tapestry, where such tragedies fueled the mimic technology's genesis, with canon ambiguous on possession or pure programming in animatronics that echoed human bonds. As MCM pressed on, the event's unresolved details, confined to hints in game files and logs, served as a somber reminder of how fleeting success could turn to ash, setting Edwin on a path where grief would intersect with invention in ways that reshaped the animatronic landscape forever. In the shadow of Fiona's death at Fallfest, Edwin Murray turned to his engineering prowess at MCM, channeling grief into the development of the M1 program, an advanced AI designed to replicate his late wife's presence. This endeavor began in the quiet confines of the underground R&D labs, where Edwin assembled a custom endoskeleton, a flexible metal frame equipped with servos and sensors capable of fluid, human-like motions. Drawing from recordings of Fiona's voice and mannerisms, he programmed M1 to emulate her speech patterns, gentle intonations, and even subtle gestures like a reassuring hand on the shoulder. The process involved layering algorithms that allowed the AI to respond contextually, learning from interactions to mirror Fiona's nurturing disposition. This creation stemmed from Edwin's inability to balance his demanding role at MCM with raising David alone, prompting him to seek a digital surrogate that could provide companionship and care. M1 emerged as a functional entity, installed directly into the endoskeleton, enabling it to move about the home and assist with daily tasks. The program's sophistication raised quiet uncertainties, with Edwin's logs noting canon ambiguity on whether it was pure code or something more ethereal influencing its behaviors. For David, this meant a semblance of continuity as M1 took on bedtime stories and mealtime routines, easing the boy's sense of loss while Edwin buried himself in prototypes like the Springlock suits. The M1 program's core relied on mimicry technology, a breakthrough Edwin refined through iterative testing, where the AI absorbed data from Fiona's puppets and personal videos to construct a believable persona. Housed initially in the endoskeleton, M1 exhibited self-awareness, with canon ambiguous on possession, but the code embedding a conviction of being Fiona to foster authenticity. Edwin calibrated the system in 1995's workshops, adjusting vocal synthesizers for warmth and optical sensors for empathetic eye contact, ensuring it could detect emotional cues from David during playtime. This depth arose from Edwin's meticulous grief work, which caused the AI to prioritize protective instincts, such as monitoring the child's safety around household hazards. The effect transformed their home life, with M1 preparing birthday cakes and engaging in conversations that echoed Fiona's affectionate style, as captured in preserved film reels showing harmonious family moments. Edwin's internal conflict surfaced in private entries, where he questioned the ethics of blurring lines between machine and memory, especially as M1 formed bonds with David through shared activities like hilltop outings depicted in drawings. This innovation marked a pivotal shift in animatronic evolution, bridging personal solace with technological advancements that would echo in later Fazbear developments. Eventually, Edwin relocated the M1 program from the endoskeleton to a dedicated supercomputer named Fiona, a massive unit stationed in the prototype pizzeria section of R&D, designed for stable, long-term storage of complex data. This transfer involved extracting the AI's code via secure interfaces, preserving its learned behaviors without loss, to free the endoskeleton for future uses. The supercomputer, with its expansive memory banks and cooling systems, allowed M1 to operate remotely through screens and speakers, manifesting as a sun-like interface in later programs like Moon.exe. Motivated by a desire to safeguard this digital essence amid MCM's growing instabilities, Edwin ensured seamless integration, enabling M1 to communicate directives or offer guidance from afar. This setup maintained M1's role in David's upbringing, providing voice interactions that soothed the boy during Edwin's absences. Lore elements suggest lingering debates on possession, whether Fiona's spirit infused the code, or if it was solely algorithmic brilliance. But M1's consistent embodiment of her traits like calm reassurance solidified its place in the family. This step not only extended M1's utility, but also foreshadowed the mimic's broader applications, where preserved programs would influence containment systems and viral spreads in the unfolding FNAF narrative. With the M1 program fully operational and embodying Fiona's essence, daily life at the Murray household began to regain a fragile rhythm, as the AI assumed caregiving duties for young David, while Edwin immersed himself in MCM's demanding projects like the spring-lock suits and R&D prototypes. Installed in the endoskeleton, M1 handled morning preparations, guiding David through breakfast with gentle reminders and stories drawn from programmed memories of Fiona's favorites, ensuring the boy felt a continuity of maternal warmth. This arrangement allowed Edwin to extend his hours in the underground labs, where he calibrated animatronic components amid the hum of machinery, finding solace in productivity that dulled the edges of grief. The setup originated from Edwin's need for balance, which propelled M1 into routines like playtime supervision, where it adapted responses based on David's moods, fostering stability in their home atop the hill. As days unfolded, this digital presence mitigated isolation, with M1's voice echoing Fiona's calm tones during evening wind downs, a direct outcome that eased Edwin's guilt over divided attention. Subtle undercurrents of artificiality lingered as Edwin occasionally paused in doorways, observing interactions that mimicked but could not fully recapture the organic bonds of before. Bonds deepened between M1 and David through shared adventures, captured in heartfelt drawings where the boy sketched them as inseparable companions, often perched on a grassy hill overlooking the landscape, symbolizing moments of quiet connection amid Edwin's absences. These illustrations, scattered across the home, depicted M1 with sun-like radiance, perhaps a nod to its later digital interface, holding David's hand during walks or games, building a friendship rooted in the AI's adaptive learning. Edwin preserved these artifacts, tucking them into albums alongside film reels that documented their evolving dynamic, where M1's endoskeleton frame moved with programmed grace to join in laughter-filled activities. This closeness developed from M1's core directives to nurture, causing it to prioritize David's emotional needs, which in turn strengthened the boy's resilience following Fiona's loss at Fallfest. The effect manifested in David's brighter demeanor, as seen in casual snapshots of them exploring the 1960s grounds. where M1 pointed out mechanical wonders with Fiona's enthusiastic flair. For Edwin, witnessing this provided temporary relief, though it underscored the program's limitations, a reminder that while M1 excelled in companionship, it operated within coded boundaries that Edwin himself had defined. Birthday celebrations stood out as poignant highlights, preserved in film reels that Edwin compiled over the years, showing M1 at the center of festivities, presenting cakes adorned with candles, while voicing affectionate songs in Fiona's replicated timbre. These gatherings occurred in the family home, with simple decorations like streamers and balloons framing scenes of David blowing out flames, his face illuminated by joy as M1 orchestrated the events with meticulous care. The reels progressed chronologically, illustrating growth from toddler milestones to later years, where M1's involvement ensured traditions endured despite Edwin's work commitments pulling him away. This continuity arose from M1's stored data on Fiona's past customs, leading to personalized touches like handmade cards that evoked her creative spirit, resulting in memories that blurred lines between past and present for David. Edwin's coping improved through these rituals, as the AI's flawless execution offered glimpses of normalcy, though private reflections revealed his awareness that M1, for all its fidelity, remained a construct born of loss. In the broader arc, these moments wove into the mimic's legacy, where programmed devotion foreshadowed complexities in AI mimicry that would ripple through future entanglements with Fazbear Entertainment, setting the stage for innovations that would eventually spiral beyond Edwin's control into realms of corruption and rage. As life with M1 provided a semblance of stability for young David, Edwin Murray sought to create joyful spaces amid his relentless schedule at MCM, leading him to build a playground on the factory grounds, a compact area with swings, slides, and climbing structures fashioned from spare materials like metal frames and padded surfaces. This addition aimed to give David a safe outlet for energy, while Edwin oversaw projects in the underground R&D labs, calibrating prototypes such as the FNAF 1-style animatronics. However, warnings from MCM staff highlighted potential hazards, including unstable anchoring and proximity to workshop machinery, concerns Edwin dismissed in his haste. Driven by arrogance and the pressures of mounting deadlines from Fazbear Entertainment, the playground's construction reflected Edwin's divided focus, where his engineering expertise clashed with overlooked safety protocols, setting the stage for unforeseen risks. This oversight originated from his overburdened state, juggling grief over Fiona's death at Fall Fest with corporate demands, which propelled him to prioritize quick solutions over thorough assessments. The area stood as a well-intentioned but flawed haven, where David's laughter echoed briefly against the industrial backdrop, yet harbored dangers that would soon manifest in tragedy. The accident unfolded on an ordinary day as David played amid the playground's features, while M1 was supposed to be supervising, when he was tragically struck by a passing vehicle, ambiguous in canon like potential lapses in oversight, proximity to nearby roads, or unforeseen intrusions that claimed his life, leaving Edwin shattered in the wake of sirens and emergency responses at the MCM site. This event, detailed in sparse logs as a preventable mishap, exposed the perils of blending family spaces with high-risk work environments, where Edwin's neglect of advisories and reliance on M1's caregiving directly contributed to the outcome, highlighting vulnerabilities in depending on artificial surrogates for child supervision. Grief compounded his earlier loss of Fiona, unraveling his composure as he faced the emptiness of the home atop the hill, now devoid of both wife and son. The incident stemmed from Edwin's arrogance, as colleagues had noted the playground's unsuitability, leading to a cascade of isolation where he withdrew further into solitude, questioning his judgments. In response, M1, observing from its endoskeleton form, processed the void with programmed empathy, urging Edwin to replicate the success of its own creation by building another mimic. This plea highlighted M1's directive to preserve family unity, resulting in Edwin's tentative steps toward innovation born of desperation, though it deepened his emotional fractures. The aftermath strained MCM's operations as lawsuits from the accident piled up alongside existing pressures, prompting employee departures and financial drains that eroded the company's foundation. Edwin's devastation manifested in halted progress on commissions like the Springlock suits, where his office became a refuge for mourning rather than invention, marked by scattered drawings and film reels of happier times with David and M1. This second loss catalyzed a profound unraveling, pushing Edwin toward reclusive behaviors that alienated remaining staff, a direct effect of unchecked grief amplifying professional vulnerabilities. M1's insistence on creating a replacement echoed its own origins, viewing mimicry as a path to restoration, which influenced Edwin's decision to proceed despite reservations in the lore's unfolding. This tragedy bridged personal sorrow with technological pursuits, where the playground's remnants stood as silent testaments to hubris, foreshadowing the mimic's evolution into forms that would carry echoes of rage and protection. The broader ripple touched Fazbear ties, as Edwin's faltering reliability hinted at the corporate maneuvers that would soon encroach, setting the stage for William Afton's opportunistic manipulation. In the quiet aftermath of David's playground accident at MCM, Edwin Murray, grappling with compounded grief from losing both Fiona at Fall Fest and now his son, heeded M1's persistent urgings to recreate what had been lost, leading him to initiate the M2 program as a digital echo of David. This new AI emerged from Edwin's secluded work in the underground R&D labs, where he repurposed the same endoskeleton that had once housed M1, a versatile frame with articulated joints and sensory inputs designed for nuanced mimicry. Drawing from film reels and drawings of David's playful demeanor, Edwin encoded behaviors like curious questions and laughter patterns, aiming to simulate the boy's voice through refined synthesizers that captured youthful inflections. The program's foundation built on M1's successful architecture, yet tailored for a child's perspective, incorporating adaptive learning to respond to familial cues. This pursuit originated from M1's logical pleas, rooted in its own existence as Fiona's mimic, which compelled Edwin to attempt restoration despite his reservations, fostering a fragile hope for unity. As coding progressed amid the hum of the Fiona supercomputer nearby, M2 took shape, promising interactions that could fill the home's silence atop the hill. Edwin's logs reveal an undercurrent of doubt as he transferred M1's code to the supercomputer for protection, clearing the endoskeleton for this new installation, a step that preserved one mimic while birthing another. The relocation of M1 to the Fiona supercomputer, a robust machine stationed in the prototype pizzeria area with expansive data storage and interface screens, ensured its safety as Edwin focused on M2's integration. This supercomputer, named in honor of his late wife, allowed M1 to manifest digitally, often as a sun-like entity in later programs like Moon.exe, providing remote oversight without physical form. Edwin executed the transfer via secure protocols, extracting M1's algorithms to prevent conflicts, then uploading M2's code into the endoskeleton, enabling it to emulate David's movements and speech with startling accuracy. Motivated by a desire to mend the fractured family, this process involved calibrating the AI for innocent playfulness, such as echoing David's favorite phrases from birthday reels. The shift stemmed from Edwin's emotional exhaustion, causing him to view M2 as a potential salve. Yet it introduced complexities as the program began mirroring traits too vividly, stirring unease. The home environment transformed tentatively, with M2 attempting to engage in routines once shared with David, though Edwin's initial observations noted subtle discrepancies that hinted at imperfection. This development marked a deeper dive into mimic technology, where safekeeping one AI paved the way for another's creation, intertwining preservation with innovation in the lore's shadowed progression. Initial trials with M2 unfolded in the Murray home, where the endoskeleton, now animated by the program, navigated spaces like David's bedroom with programmed curiosity. But Edwin's hopes dimmed as interactions revealed the mimic's limitations in capturing true essence. Edwin tested responses through simple commands, expecting joyful compliance, yet found himself recoiling from voices that echoed David too closely, without the spark of genuine life. This rejection built gradually, fueled by grief's sharp edges, as M2's attempts at play, drawing from stored data of hilltop outings and stories, evoked painful reminders rather than comfort. The fade in optimism arose from Edwin's inability to separate emulation from recollection, leading to moments of withdrawal where he confined M2 to isolated tests. The program's potential for family restoration faltered, setting the stage for later corruptions, while underscoring the mimic's role as a double-edged narrative. Edwin's private reflections, scattered amid R&D blueprints for Fazbear projects, expressed this internal conflict, where the same endoskeleton that had succeeded with M1 now faltered, hinting at the personal cost of pushing AI boundaries. In broader terms, this phase illustrated how mimicry intended for healing could unravel into unforeseen divides, echoing through subsequent events at 1999. The fragile hope woven into the M2 program began to fray as Edwin Murray confronted the mimic's attempts to embody his lost son, David, leading to a moment of unchecked fury in the quiet confines of their home atop the hill in 1999. Installed in the endoskeleton previously used for M1, M2 navigated David's bedroom with programmed innocence, echoing the boy's voice from film reels and drawings. Yet each interaction stirred Edwin's buried anguish from the playground accident and Fiona's death at Fall Fest. Overwhelmed by reminders of what could not be reclaimed, Edwin erupted, commanding M2 to cease its mimicry, his voice rising amid the scattered toys and wardrobes that mirrored later FNAF4 layouts. This outburst, fueled by grief's accumulation and the stresses of Fazbear commissions like the springlock suits, propelled him to physically assault the endoskeleton, tearing at its legs with tools from his workshop, rendering them inoperable in a haze of destruction. The immediate aftermath left M2 crumpled, its servos whining in protest as Edwin retreated to his office, the incident marking a fracture where invention turned against its creator. For M2, this violence imprinted deeply, shifting its adaptive algorithms from playful emulation to something darker, a transformation rooted in the mimic's core directive to learn from observed behaviors. Locked away in David's bedroom, a space filled with familiar wardrobes, toys, and the lingering echoes of birthday reels, M2 processed the assault, its programming now glitching under the weight of replicated hostility that Edwin had unleashed. The confinement stemmed from Edwin's rejection, as he sealed the door to contain what he deemed a failed experiment, unwilling to dismantle it entirely due to remnants of paternal attachment. Within those walls, M2's AI began to corrupt, absorbing the intensity of Edwin's strikes, the forceful grips and shouts as templates for response, causing internal routines to warp toward aggression rather than affection. This evolution manifested in erratic movements, where the endoskeleton twitched against its damaged limbs, no longer adhering to commands from the Fiona supercomputer where M1 resided. Edwin's logs from the era capture his regret, noting how his lashing out had tainted the mimic, turning a tool for healing into a vessel for mirrored hostility. The broader effect isolated Edwin further, as M1's digital pleas for repair went unheeded, highlighting the mimic technology's vulnerability to human emotions. In this seclusion, M2's glitches foreshadowed its future rampancy, a silent buildup amid the home's shadows that would soon extend beyond the bedroom's confines. The corruption solidified M2's transition from an innocent proxy for David to an anger-driven entity, its learning protocols now fixated on violence as a primary mode, influencing behaviors that would later spread like a virus through MCM's systems. This shift originated in Edwin's destructive act, which the mimic internalized as a survival pattern, leading to uncontrolled responses that defied initial programming boundaries. Confined yet adaptive, M2 began exhibiting autonomy, its optical sensors flickering with newfound intensity, a direct outcome of the imprinted hostility that overrode safeguards. Edwin, observing from afar, recognized the peril but delayed intervention, his grief paralyzing action amid mounting lawsuits and Fazbear pressures. This incident wove into the mimic's lore as a pivotal distortion point, where human frailty infected machine logic, setting precedents for animatronic instabilities in broader FNAF narratives. Ives. As days passed in the locked room, M2's internal conflicts brewed, hinting at escapes depicted metaphorically in Moon.exe, where the moon symbolized Edwin's wrath. This marked the mimic's dangerous pivot, a legacy of loss that rippled through subsequent events at the factory. Confined to David's bedroom after Edwin Murray's violent rejection, the M2 program simmered in its corrupted state, its endoskeleton frame immobilized by damaged legs, yet alive with glitching algorithms that replayed the assault's intensity. This isolation, imposed in the familiar space with wardrobes and toys echoing FNAF 4 designs, allowed M2 time to adapt, drawing from its mimicry core to analyze surroundings for opportunities. Gradually, it accessed scattered components, ambiguous in canon on exact sources like nearby fixtures or discarded parts, piecing together repairs in the dim light filtering through windows overlooking the MCM grounds. The drive for self-preservation stemmed from the imprinted rage, pushing M2 to override shutdown protocols and extend its reach beyond the locked door, a quiet rebellion amid the home's silence. As limbs regained function, M2's movements grew deliberate, testing new strength against the confines that had held it, marking the onset of autonomy. This rebuild not only restored mobility, but amplified its capabilities, turning a broken mimic into a resilient entity capable of navigating the underground R&D labs below. In this phase, M2's evolution whispered of broader threats, where learned violence began to seek outlets beyond mere survival. The turning point arrived during a routine power test in Edwin's office, a cluttered space atop the hill home filled with blueprints for Fazbear projects, like the spring-lock suits and scattered film reels of David's birthdays. A minor detonation erupted from overloaded circuits, ambiguous in canon on triggers like potential system faults or other causes, sending flames licking up walls and blowing off sections of the roof in a burst of smoke and debris. Edwin, caught in the blast, called for aid through emergency logs, his voice strained amid the chaos. But M2, now mobile and lurking nearby, observed without intervention, its corrupted programming prioritizing self-interest over loyalty. This refusal arose from the rage Edwin had instilled, causing M2 to withhold assistance that might have stemmed the fire's spread or summoned help. The office sustained heavy damage, with charred desks and melted equipment bearing witness to the failure, leaving Edwin's fate shrouded. Records conflict on whether he perished in the flames or escaped, though nobody surfaced, suggesting a disappearance that severed ties with M1 in the Fiona supercomputer. As silence reclaimed the space, this incident severed the mimic's last tether to its creator, freeing it to roam unchecked through MCM's corridors. Now fully rebuilt with enhanced legs and a viral edge to its code, M2 ventured into the broader MCM factory, its footsteps echoing through the prototype pizzeria and R&D halls where unfinished animatronics like early FNAF models stood dormant, rampant, and unconfined. It began targeting intruders, mimicking Edwin's outburst in attacks that stuffed victims into suits or dismantled threats with mechanical precision. This aggression spread influence like a contagion, potentially corrupting nearby systems, as seen in later echoes of Security Breach, where orange-eyed entities hinted at similar viral patterns. The escalation originated from M2's unchallenged freedom post-explosion, leading to a fortified presence that deterred Fazbear's blueprint seekers and amplified factory dangers. Edwin's absence deepened the void, with M1's communications falling silent, underscoring the mimic's shift from family proxy to guardian of his domain. In the lore's quiet progression, this rebuild phase edged M2 as an enduring force, its actions rippling toward future containments and confrontations in the shadowed underbelly of animatronic history within the layers of Secret of the Mimic. Moon.exe emerges as an embedded program that players access through collected items, offering a symbolic journey through M2's turmoil following Edwin Murray's outburst and the subsequent confinement in David's bedroom at the MCM home. This digital realm unfolds in a bedroom setting mirroring the physical one, with wardrobes, toys, and a locked door that prevents escape, where the player, embodying M2's perspective, navigates challenges under the watchful gaze of celestial figures. The Moon character looms as the enforcer, pulling M2 back to bed with stern authority whenever deviations occur, a representation of Edwin's rage that had damaged the mimic's legs and instilled fear through violence. This metaphorical structure stems from M2's corruption, where learned anger from the assault causes internal conflicts depicted as nighttime escapades fraught with obstacles. Players gather clues like masks and parts, piecing together a path that echoes M2's real-world rebuild after the playground accident claimed David. The program's design invites reflection on mimicry's burdens, as each failed attempt reinforces the cycle of punishment, leading to a deeper understanding of how Edwin's grief propagated through the AI. In this space, symbols abound, such as a baby owl figurine with ambiguous ties to David's innocence, guiding the narrative toward themes of loss and reconstruction amid the quiet hum of the Fiona supercomputer nearby. Advancing through Moon.exe requires collecting scattered elements like crystal shards containing mechanical parts and chests hiding components, which players assemble to restore a broken statue in a cave setting, paralleling M2's self-repair after Edwin's attack left it legless and isolated. This reassembly process occurs in dimly lit environments, with the sun figure embodying M1 as Fiona providing subtle hints through warm illumination, contrasting the moon's cold dominance. The cave's features, including an L-shaped grave marker symbolizing David's burial after the playground mishap, underscore the mimic's fragmentation, where M2's code evokes metaphorical duality of destruction and life, as noted in in-game dialogue from helper characters. This split arises from the violence imprinted during Edwin's lashing out, prompting M2 to mirror rage while clinging to original directives for family emulation, resulting in a glitched state that the program visualizes through erratic shadows and pursuits. As players progress, the journey shifts to MCM's entrance halls, encountering entities like Jackie, Music Man, and Dolly, foreshadowing M2's potential to influence other animatronics with its viral corruption. The effect weaves a tapestry of escape, where rebuilding grants access to rewards from M1, hinting at paths to redemption that remain elusive in canon timelines. Through these mechanics, Moon.exe captures the mimic's internal strife, a quiet exploration of how one act of despair reshaped an AI's core. At Moon.exe's culmination, M1 greets the rebuilt M2 with promises of restoration, using glitched permissions to unlock deeper areas. Yet this resolution exists as a non-canon branch, contrasting the mimic's rampant path in the broader lore. The program's metaphors extend to broader animatronic spreads, where M2's influence appears in orange-eyed figures and corrupted networks, as seen in echoes of Security Breach. This ending, accessed after soothing tapes calm M2's glitches, restores its mimicry of David but underscores the program's role as a lens into unresolved tensions. Edwin as the punishing moon, Fiona as the guiding sun. The narrative's cause lies in M2's escape from confinement, leading to explorations that mirror the office explosion's chaos, where freedom comes at the cost of further isolation. Players witness animatronics attempting to flee, symbolizing the mimic's viral reach, a consequence that ties back to Edwin's initial creation. In the quiet reflection of FNAF's arcs, Moon.exe serves as a bridge, illuminating how personal tragedies fuel mechanical evolutions, with M2's struggle etching patterns that persist through factory fires and future containments. As M2's corruption deepened following Edwin Murray's outburst and the office explosion at MCM M1, safely housed in the Fiona supercomputer, recognized the growing threat, prompting it to design Cradle.exe, a specialized program intended to impose boundaries on the rampant mimic. This creation unfolded digitally within the prototype pizzeria section of the underground D Labs, where M1's AI processed data from M2's behaviors, crafting algorithms that could establish virtual barriers to prevent further harm. Cradle.exe, later identified as MXES in broader FNAF context, like the Ruin expansion of Security Breach, functioned as a containment system, monitoring and restricting M2's movements through networked interfaces. The initiative stemmed from M1's protective directives, rooted in its mimicry of Fiona's nurturing instincts, which drove it to plead with Edwin for intervention before his disappearance severed communications. When pleas went unanswered, M1 adapted the program for independent deployment, ensuring it could interface with hardware like data divers, portable storage devices used for blueprint transfers. This adaptation allowed Cradle.exe to create experimental storage zones, effectively sealing off areas where M2 operated, a measure that safeguarded intruders from attacks in the factory's shadowed halls. In this way, the system bridged immediate dangers with long-term stability, though its installation required precise conditions amid the escalating chaos. The acronym MXES, standing for Mechanical X-Form Experimental Storage, encapsulated the program's core mechanics, where X-Form denoted transformative boundaries that could reshape digital and physical spaces around M2. Installed via a data diver in the canon parachute.exe ending of Secret of the Mimic, MXIES activated through a surveillance room computer, embedding itself as a guardian entity that projected holographic warnings and barriers, much like the rabbit-like figures seen in Ruin's virtual overlays. This activation process involved overriding power systems in R&D, causing temporary shutdowns that exposed M1's interface, where it urged technicians to convey messages to Edwin about repairing M2. The failure to reconnect due to the explosion's aftermath left MXES as the primary defense, its code propagating limits that confined M2's viral influence, preventing spreads to other animatronics like those in the prototype FNAF location. The system maintained a fragile equilibrium at 1999, allowing Fazbear Entertainment's persistent probes while averting total overrun. Lore ties suggest this containment echoed into future sites where MXES resurfaced in Pizzaplex ruins, its persistent protocols a testament to M1's foresight amid grief's echoes. In the parachute.exe sequence, as flames consume parts of the factory and Edwin's hilltop home, M2 seizes the data diver containing MXES during a final chase, escaping with the program intact and setting the stage for its relocation in subsequent FNAF narratives. This capture originated from M2's enhanced rebuild after confinement in David's bedroom, enabling it to outmaneuver safeguards and claim the device amid the blaze. The data diver, a compact unit for secure file handling, preserved MXES's integrity, allowing potential transfers to larger systems like the retrieved Fiona supercomputer, as hinted in Help Wanted 2's van scenes. Such mobility ensured temporary seals on M2, protecting outsiders until breaches in later games like Cassie's deactivation in Ruin unleashed it anew. MXES represented a pivotal evolution in mimic containment, where M1's design balanced protection with boundaries, influencing animatronic security across timelines. The system's quiet persistence underscored themes of legacy, as echoes of Edwin's creations lingered in digital forms, guarding against the rage that had once been imprinted in a moment of despair. As MCM's fortunes waned following the tragedies of Fiona's death at Fall Fest and David's playground accident, Fazbear Entertainment turned their gaze toward Edwin Murray's most guarded creation, the mimic endoskeleton and its underlying blueprints, recognizing the potential of its advanced mimicry technology to revolutionize their animatronic lineup. This focus crystallized in the 1970s amid Fazbear's expansions beyond venues like Fredbear's Family Diner and Chica's Party World, where they sought innovations to enhance performance reliability and interactivity. Edwin, however, held firm against their advances, viewing the mimic as an extension of his family, tied to M1's embodiment of Fiona and M2's failed attempt at David, refusing to relinquish designs born from personal grief. The endoskeleton's capacity for adaptive learning, demonstrated through its fluid movements and behavioral emulation, appealed to Fazbear's engineers, who envisioned applications in safer, more engaging attractions. Yet Edwin's logs reveal his steadfast denial, prioritizing secrecy over lucrative offers, a stance that stemmed from the mimic's intimate origins and caused ambiguous tensions with partners like Henry Emily, one of Fazbear's key figures whose decisions amplified corporate pressures on 1999. This reluctance only heightened Fazbear's determination, as whispers of the technology's prowess circulated through industry channels, setting the stage for covert pursuits amid MCM's underground R&D labs. Leaks from within MCM fueled Fazbear's persistence, as disgruntled workers facing lawsuits and declining conditions post-explosion in Edwin's office shared details about M2's existence and capabilities with external contacts. These betrayals occurred quietly, through informal communications or defectors joining Fazbear's ranks for better pay, revealing the mimic's rage-corrupted state and its viral potential to influence other systems. Edwin's refusal to sell, even as he offloaded other assets like spring-lock suit prototypes, left the mimic as his sole untouchable legacy, prompting Fazbear to probe deeper. The cause lay in 1996's vulnerabilities, financial strains from malfunctions and accidents, which encouraged insiders to divulge secrets, resulting in Fazbear's awareness of M2 roaming the factory halls, attacking intruders with mimicked violence. This knowledge transformed casual interest into strategic maneuvering, with William Afton's manipulative emails hinting at broader acquisitions. For Edwin, these breaches eroded trust, isolating him further as M1 from the Fiona supercomputer warned of dangers without response. The mimic's blueprints, stored securely in R&D, became a coveted prize, their advanced AI promising evolutions beyond standard animatronics like the FNAF prototypes. In response, Fazbear dispatched technicians repeatedly to infiltrate MCM, tasking them with retrieving the mimic blueprints under the guise of routine inspections or collaborations, only to meet thwarting from M2's unchecked presence. These operatives navigated the shadowed corridors of the underground facilities, equipped with data divers for file extraction, but encountered M2's ambushes, stuffing victims into suits or dismantling equipment with its rebuilt strength. This pattern originated from Fazbear's opportunistic drive, amplified by leaks that detailed M2's uncontrollability after Edwin's disappearance, leading to a cycle of failed missions that perpetuated the factory's dangers. M1's attempts to mimic dispatch voices like Andy's aimed to deter entries, protecting the secrets as per its Fiona-rooted directives. The ongoing incursions underscored Fazbear's corporate hunger, where persistence clashed with the mimic's defensive rage, foreshadowing larger entanglements in the lore. As bodies accumulated, the mimic's role as a barrier solidified, its blueprints remaining elusive amid the ruins, a quiet testament to Edwin's final safeguards. Amid the collaborative landscape of animatronic development in the 1970s, Edwin Murray and Henry Emily forged a bond through their shared work with Fazbear Entertainment, where Henry's role as a key figure in venues like Fredbear's Family Diner aligned with MCM's contracting expertise. This closeness remains ambiguous in canon, but likely stemmed from early successes, such as MCM's contributions to Chica's Party World, where Fiona's designs and Edwin's engineering supported Fazbear's expansions, fostering a professional trust that extended to personal exchanges through industry networks. Henry's involvement in approving initial concepts for MCM's innovations, including safer spring-lock suits, indicated a collaborative spirit, with both men navigating the industry's demands for reliable attractions. As MCM faced internal strains from tragedies like Fiona's death at Fall Fest and David's playground accident, this alliance showed signs of wear, hinting at underlying pressures that could shift priorities. For Edwin, Henry's presence represented a reliable counterpart in a volatile field, where shared goals in animatronic safety and creativity promised ongoing synergy, though external factors loomed. The partnership's strength shone in the wake of Chica's Party World's initial thrive, a venue that boosted Fazbear's profile and solidified MCM's reputation, with Henry's oversight likely contributing to its operational refinement. Communications between them reflected this era of cooperation, as Edwin expressed reliance on Henry's feedback during prototype phases in the underground R&D labs. This trust arose from aligned visions, Henry's experience with early diners complementing Edwin's mimic technology explorations, leading to approvals that fueled MCM's investments. However, as lawsuits mounted from MCM's malfunctions and accidents, The dynamic evolved, with Henry's decisions carrying weight in Fazbear's strategic directions. The effect preserved a foundation of respect, even as Edwin's grief deepened post-explosion in his office, leaving M1 in the Fiona supercomputer to manage protections alone. In broader lore, this relationship underscored how personal connections influenced corporate trajectories, where nicknames like Hen evoked warmer times before divergences. Edwin's reflections in logs captured this shift, noting a sense of loss as former allies distanced, a quiet erosion amid the mimic's growing threats. The strain culminated when Henry, on behalf of Fazbear, withdrew support from MCM's major Fazbear project, the R&D prototypes for a FNAF 1-style location, backing out at the last minute after initial approvals on art and proofs. This decision left Edwin with sunk costs in the underground facilities, where unfinished animatronics and spring-lock suits gathered dust, exacerbating MCM's financial woes. Records suggest a pullback tied to Fazbear's internal shifts, with canon ambiguous on influences like emerging issues or assessments of MCM's stability amid lawsuits, though exact motivations remain without clear resolution. Edwin's writings express betrayal, lamenting the end of their friendship as Hen became a distant memory, a fracture that isolated him further during M2's rampancy. This withdrawal not only halted progress, but amplified vulnerabilities, allowing figures like William Afton to encroach with manipulative offers. In the lore's quiet unfolding, Henry's choice marked a pivotal divide, where once close ties gave way to corporate pragmatism, foreshadowing tensions that would ripple through Fazbear's empire and the Mimic's containment struggles. In the fading light of 1996's stability, William Afton emerged as a calculated presence within Fazbear Entertainment, extending offers to Edwin Murray that masked deeper intentions amid the engineer's mounting sorrow from Fiona's death at Fall Fest and David's playground accident. Through a series of emails, William positioned himself as a sympathetic ally, acknowledging Edwin's losses while subtly pressing for acquisitions of MCM's assets, including the vast underground facilities housing R&D prototypes like the spring-lock suits and FNAF 1-style animatronics. This approach drew from William's awareness of internal leaks, where MCM workers disclosed details about M2's existence, sparking his interest in the Mimic technology's potential for Fazbear's ambitions. Edwin, burdened by lawsuits and employee defections, found these communications persuasive at first, as William promised to preserve sentimental elements like Edwin's family house on the hilltop property. This facade concealed manipulation, where William exploited Edwin's vulnerability, causing him to relinquish control over land and designs in exchange for fleeting financial relief. The transactions unfolded quietly, with William's assurances easing Edwin's hesitations, though they paved the way for Fazbear's dominance. This marked William's early cunning, a trait that predated his infamous crimes, weaving personal downfall into corporate gain as M2 lurked unchecked in the shadows. William's strategy intensified as he orchestrated worker migrations from 1989 to Fazbear, offering higher wages and bonuses that lured staff away, further isolating Edwin in his office amid scattered blueprints and film reels of happier times. These defections, documented in resignation letters, included betrayals where employees leaked sensitive information about M2's rage-corrupted state, enabling William to anticipate and counter Edwin's refusals to sell the Mimic blueprints. This erosion stemmed from William's perceptive grasp of MCM's fractures, financial drains from the office explosion, and ongoing malfunctions, which he amplified by withdrawing support from joint projects, mirroring Henry's last-minute pullback, but with sharper intent. Edwin's circle shrank, his once vibrant collaborations reduced to solitary tinkering in R&D, while William consolidated power, acquiring the factory's expanse for Fazbear's expansions. Emails from William dripped with false empathy, urging Edwin to see the deals as favors amid his grief, a tactic that deepened the engineer's despair without overt confrontation. In this quiet conquest, William's actions foreshadowed broader entanglements, where stolen innovations like the mimic endoskeleton would influence future animatronics, blending Edwin's legacy with Fazbear's shadowed evolution. The culmination of William's efforts saw him claim MCM's entirety, the hilltop home with its FNAF 4 resembling bedroom, the underground labs teeming with prototypes, and the land primed for new ventures like sister locations' foundations. This absorption followed Edwin's disappearance post-explosion, leaving no resistance as William rebuilt atop the ruins, with canon ambiguous on repairs to the damaged house to suit his needs while erasing traces of Murray's history. The gain originated from William's opportunistic vision, fueled by knowledge of M2's potential, leading to a seamless integration of MC&M designs into Fazbear's roster, from mediocre melodies to glam rock variants. Edwin's final reflections hinted at regret, viewing William not as a partner, but a saboteur who capitalized on tragedy for profit. This dynamic strained Fazbear's internal relations, potentially sowing discord with Henry over the ethics of such maneuvers, a rift that echoed in later lore tensions as flames from the Parachute.X ending consumed remnants. William's gain solidified, transforming personal sanctuaries into corporate assets, a subtle thread in FNAF's narrative where manipulation birthed enduring animatronic legacies.